What's happening, gang? Back live in the Secret Stash. I'm your host, Jesse Avanias, co-founder of the Greenhouse Group, helping folks get into and out of homes. And I feel like, Rick, we couldn't have picked our guest better, my friend. Rick Davis.
Thank you.
Appropriately sales director of Pacific Gate San Diego, which is probably the most exciting project that we've ever been able to talk about. Definitely here on the show, but I will say, dare I say, in all of San Diego's history and all the points therein. You want to learn more about Rick and what he's doing, go down to rethinkdowntownsandiego.com. And it's also a timely ask because they've got this beautiful, Rick, about 3,000 square foot showroom down there, right?
Yeah.
Down on like First and G.
Yep.
It's a beautiful exhibition that not only tells the story of Pacific Gate, dare we say probably is way better, 10 times better than we can tell it today, but also it's got a good history of San Diego. And I think that's a good little segue too, because when you talk about where Pacific Gate's going to go, it's down in the Columbia district, right?
That's correct.
So maybe, you mentioned earlier about how the architect tried to do a good job of weaving in, where it was going to sit and how it's communicating with the ocean. What about the lifestyle of the actual project itself as it's communicating with the Columbia district?
Well, the Columbia District, as probably you know, has been kind of the quieter end of downtown. Sure. It's up at the west end of Broadway, and there has been a lot of injection of money by the city of San Diego in that area. Of course, the Midway's there now. You've got the whole new Embarcadero Walk, the waterfront parks that have been recently completed. Very, very exciting. Yeah. But there still isn't a lot of retail restaurant experience up there. It's relatively quiet. And so one of the things that's really exciting about the
Which is crazy, too, right? I think that's also sort of indicative of our youth.
Yes.
So it's like everything sort of emanates from the Horton sort of out like that. But most other spots, if they're on that world-class stage, or what did you call it? I love that. The Superstar
cities,
Superstar City. Everything is right up against the water.
Yeah, and we're not.
We're
working our way that direction now. So
yeah.
It's kind of backwards.
Yeah.
But yes, there's a tremendous amount of private money being injected in that area. Pacific Gate specifically has about 16,000 square feet of retail on the podium level.
Right. And have you guys released any information about what they plan on going in there specifically?
Not yet.
Okay.
It hasn't been decided.
Okay.
But we just know there's going to be a great retail experience on the first floor. The other BOSA projects at some point in time on each side of this building will have some retail experience, but the big part of the story is the Manchester project across the street, which is the old Navy administration site. They're calling it Pacific Gateway, and there's a couple of 100,000. There was a great article this last weekend in the Union Tribune on it, but there's a couple 100,000 square feet of new retail coming to this neighborhood. So you're now going to have an area of downtown San Diego that's going to have the newest, most exciting, highest-end retail and restaurant experience that will be in downtown San Diego. So the Columbia District is going to go from the quieter part of downtown San Diego to the most exciting part real quickly here in the next few years.
That's crazy talk. And is that so? If this completion of Pacific Gate is scheduled sometime around end of 2017, when's that whole thing going to break ground?
We don't know. We know that they're trying to break ground as soon as they can, maybe as early as next year sometime. Okay. So just very exciting. You're going to see the Columbia District transform in the next few years into probably the most highly desirable neighborhood in the downtown San Diego area.
Well, I could see that just with the seminal piece of Pacific Gate coming to fruition. Could you not?
Yes, without a doubt. So you're going to have iconic architecture, all new restaurant retail experience, and right on one of the most beautiful Embarcadero waterfronts in the country, if not the world.
I love that thought. So, you've got a good history yourself with San Diego. You've been here, what did you say, for the last 40 years?
Well, my folks met here in the 40s, and I was born in the 50s, and been here pretty much ever since.
Yeah. So you watched the downtown landscape completely evolve. I was telling the story before we went live about when I got here in 95, and you couldn't even go south of Market at that point in time. And then you were adding on, of course, all the history of like when the World War II ended and stuff. You want to tell that little story anecdotally?
Well, there were just a lot of less desirable retail businesses going on downtown after the war. When I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, you didn't go downtown. Our family never ventured down there because it was not a great place to be, especially if you had children. And that's transformed already with, in the 80s when Horton Plaza got built by Ernie Hahn. You had the beginning of the transformation of downtown, and it's just continued to get better and better and better over the last couple of decades. So, yeah, and your political tongue, I think, skirted that appropriately. The truth is, I'll share it for both of us, that at that point in time, I think there was more XXX and brothel commercial businesses than any other businesses that were in the area at that time. Is that not your understanding as well? That's what we understand. It was a thriving business. Yeah. But you didn't have anything to do with that yourself personally, right? Absolutely not. Yeah, right. You stayed clear of that. No, but for someone with your wealth of experience and history in downtown, being a resident here for so long, where do you think the future of this? So if we could play magic wand, we wave it about 10 years in the not too distant, and maybe even if you want to get crazy, go 20. How do you see downtown as it exists right now to where it's going to be? Well, I think you're going to see many world-class style buildings start to pop up in downtown San Diego. We've already seen that. The story of when you get one world-class architectural firm designing a building, all the other developers in town start to raise their game. It's the linchpin. So we're already seeing that with there's a new project, the new Ritz-Carlton project that's in the planning stages down by the ballpark. Great architecture. There are several other new projects that are already in the works that we're starting to see the architectural style get stepped up. And San Diego's got a lot of great buildings, but not a lot of great world-class architectural style buildings, but they're coming. And Pacific Gate is just leading the charge, but there will be many, many more to come. And I think you'll see over the next 10 to 20 years, San Diego turn into a very mature, world-class, architecturally amazing downtown on the waterfront. Yeah, I love that thought. Hanging out in studio with Rick Davis, his sales manager for Pacific Gate San Diego. We're streaming this entire show live right now over on our Twitter handle at Follow the Stash. You can ask or tweet Rick a question live about this, about Rethink, or anything else related to our conversation today. And I want to kind of get down into the bulk of this project, if you'll allow me. This is probably one of the most exciting things I've ever read up on. I don't even know where to begin with it. But so allow me, if you will, the poetic license of just starting with the luxury amenities, okay? Now, for most people, this is going to make your head explode. Now, when you think about HOAs, typically, especially in downtown, they tend to be a little expensive. But what do you get for that? You get a nice pool. Maybe there's some security elements. There could be a cool gym down there. Well, how about for Pacific Gate? Let's start with the Concierge, right? So what's that service going to look like? Well, we have what's called a chef concierge, right, which is a term out of France. Basically, it means the chief concierge. Yep. And so it's different from most of the buildings downtown. The nicer buildings have a 24-hour lobby attendant and maybe even what they would call a concierge, but they're really more of attendants. This building will have a true, call it a hotel-style concierge at the owner's disposal, and they're really there to deliver to the owners whatever they want, whenever they want it, and even before they know they want it, if they're really, really good. And so it's a 5-star hotel-style experience for an owner in the building. And Rick, do you know if that exists anywhere else in San Diego currently? Not that we're aware of. Not a true chef concierge. No, definitely not. Now, ready for, if your head didn't already explode with that, basically you get 5-star luxury hotel service in the spot that you own. How about number 2, which is your own private fleet of luxury cars? Now, this is brilliant because you could imagine that this is going to attract a lot of people who are going to look at San Diego, not just as a place to call their primary home, but also as a great international stop. A second home, perhaps, vacation, right? So you come in off the plane, you can imagine catching an Uber to your spot, and then you've got a private luxury car in case you want to go drive to a ball game or go out to the Wild Animal Park or anything you want to do locally, yes? Yes, exactly. So we'll have people that, as you said, this may be their second home, so they don't need to keep a car. They'll be able to check a car out through the HOA. Right. Or if it's even their primary residence and maybe they don't want to keep 2 cars, maybe they just want to keep one, and then they'll have another vehicle at their disposal if the significant other wants to go for a drive or take a vehicle out. So it's a great convenience factor for people, and something, again, that doesn't exist here in San Diego. Yeah, to say the least.
The last one, I don't even know. I mean, did I even read this or did I write this down correctly? Is there access to a private boat?
Yes, there will. The HOA will have a private boat, and the owners will be able to basically reserve it. So the connection to Pacific Gate and being able to get on the water was something that we all thought was very important. Obviously, maintaining a boat, especially if you're not a full-time resident, is an expense that you might not, and a hassle you might not want to undertake. So the HOA will have a boat, and you'll be able to reserve it, take your friends or family out on it, and again, an amenity that we haven't seen in San Diego, but truly world-class.
It's hilarious. You know, as soon as I saw that, I was thinking about, normally you'll get like a club room, access to it. Maybe if you get lucky, put your little name on it. You can throw a little party there. You can have an event there. Or, you can be on a boat. And are you kidding me? Is there any indication about what the monthly fees of course they're going to vary, right? Because we'll talk about the different units offered. But where do you think that all those luxury amenities are going to start for a fee?
We don't have the HOA fees yet. We know they're going to be around the top of the market for downtown San Diego. And
As they should be.
Yeah, and there's some buildings in downtown that will offer some great services and amenities. So Pacific Gate will be competitive with those.
Fair enough. I doubt any other place is going to be competitive with Pacific Gate, but that'll be nice of them if they're competitive with those with what their fees end up being. So, gang, you can tell there is so much of this story that we're not going to have time to delve into over the course of our hour here hanging out with my man Rick Davis. But do yourself a solid. Go down to Rethink Downtown, or you just check them out online. Make sure you know where they're at down on 1st and G. That's rethinkdowntown.com. And go see the 3,000 square foot showroom that has Pacific Gate. It's got basically the history of downtown San Diego and a ton of what are a couple of things I'm leaving out of what's down there.
There's a great scale model of the city of downtown San Diego.
Of the entire city.
Of the from Balboa Park, includes the airport, East Village, downtown, the Embarcadero. So you get a great bird's eye view of what downtown looks like, and all the projects that are currently there and some that aren't even built yet that are on our model. So the model is always one of the most popular points of the gallery.
Because you can actually visualize. It's impossible to be able to see yourself in anything without being able to visualize it first, right?
Yeah, so without a doubt.
Great little gift. And remember now, that's going to be closing down this Sunday. So, gang, if you're checking this out right now, you got a couple days, about 5 days left to be able to get down there. Am I doing my math right? 5 days left Sunday, shutting down 6 total, right? Including actual off Sunday. So go down to rethinkdowntown.com and check that out for yourself. And also, if you want to get your name on what we're calling sort of our early interest list. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's still going to be coming to fruition, including the least of which is the timeline, right? We're talking now potential fruition date of end of 2017. So you'll be able to get updates on that as we go, as well as, like we talked about the luxury amenities, learning more about exactly what the monthly fees might be. And then we're going to get into the next segment more specifically about the actual units that are going to be offered and where prices are going to start. Go down to our website. We're at thegreenhousegroupinc.com/Pacific Gate. And we'll get you on our interest list to make sure that you're updated on all this stuff as it comes to fruition. So, gang, coming up. Now, Rick, I think I already set the tone correctly with the building of this conversation from Rethink, getting more specific about Pacific Gate. Now I want to get into the actual details of the real estate specifically in case this conversation is resonating with that special someone right now. Hey, it is Christmas time coming up, right? If you want to get your name on that early interest list, we're going to get more specific about the units. And also, don't forget to call in at 866-405-1717 in case you want to ask Rick a question live. So we're going to get you all caught up on some sports stuff. After all, Rick, this is ESPN, right? So we'll get a little sports commentary from our CBS affiliates, and then we'll be back right after this. Real Talk Radio San Diego. Thanks for hanging out.